right, I
saw
have a
him.
lot to say right now.
We have to talk about Phoebe.
I was literally about to say that. Dude, I
And we have
can't
to talk
believe
about
that
Alex
shit.
G. So, hey Josh, you know about Chappell Roan? You should come on the podcast. Because isn't it weird? And we have to talk about Alex G. Because
Dude,
isn't it
because
weird that happened within the same couple of days?
there's just no way that Phoebe Bridgers is hanging out in Tattooed Mom. There's just no way.
There's no way. There's no way that she loves Rack. Like, what?
That guy had to be out of his goddamn mind.
He had to be on an edible.
The thing is, it was
Mom.
some guy who Dom knew. So this guy came over to us at the bar last night when we were sitting there. It was someone who he knew who was in like a band, and I was like, "What band are you in?" And then he told me, and I was like, "Oh, cool. I don't know." And then he was like, "So is that Tattooed Mom? Get this, get this. I was at Tattooed Mom, right?"
Oh,
And it was like a poetry night, and I went up to this person, and they were like, I was like, has anyone told you that you're just like a dead like double for like Phoebe Bridgers? And then the person was like, "Oh, that's really funny. Hi, I'm Phoebe."
there's
Literally
no
sounds like a
way.
fan fiction.
There's literally no way this happened.
No,
Like,
no, no.
it just
And listen,
didn't.
and listen. And then he was like, yeah, and I didn't believe her because I was like, you're fucking with me, like blah blah blah. He like thought that the person was fucking with him, and then he like looked up her friend or whatever who was like doing poetry that night, and they like are friends. They've like worked together, and apparently like she goes into Rack's Vintage. She loves Rack's Vintage, and Julian Baker lives somewhere in Philly, so.
There's just no way.
Does Julian Baker really live in Philly?
No, I don't think so. I feel like we would know that if it's true.
What's the other one?
Oh, I don't. Lucy Dacus.
Oh, that's who it was. Lucy Dacus lives in Philly.
No way.
No, she does. She does. I
Are
know
you
this.
serious?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Why have we
So
not
then
seen
like
her?
the guy was like, yeah, like she like probably like hangs out with like Lucy Dacus because like Lucy Dacus lives in Philly. So like honestly, I believe him.
We not seen her.
I just don't know.
I've been in Racks more times I can count.
Just someone coming up to you at 12 steps down saying, I saw Phoebe Bridgers at Tattooed Mom. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That needs to, like, they need to be put in handcuffs for that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, my voice message to you, I, like, had no words. I literally sent, let me play this. It's like, I just don't have any words. I just don't have any words. This guy told me, she loves South Street, apparently. She loves it. She goes to Racks all the time. Tattooed Mom all the time. Isn't that fucked up? That's fucked up. No, like, oh my god, people are like, there's too many men know things in this world. I just can't. When this was happening, I also wanted to say that, because I forgot to say it while me and Samira were talking about it, the thing that I imagined in my head during this story was like a girl who looked like Phoebe Bridgers in a hoodie and sunglasses, like a black hoodie and sunglasses, in the middle of this like bar that we just like go to all the time. Because it's like, you can't just get away with that.
Can I tell my Alex G story?
People want to know.
Ugh. So basically I was at Lorraine.
Wait, this is Loki the fan. This is the celebrity experience episode. Hey, this is my celebrity meet and greet experience.
What if the guy watches this who was at Lorraine and he's like, that was me. And then he sends us the Addy to the party.
I hope so.
So I went to this bar and I was on an edible and I was sitting outside and there was this guy with a mustache on a date. And he was on a date with this girl and I hear from the corner of my ear, he's like, so yeah, like Alex G's housewarming party, and talking about how Alex G's moving. And he was inviting her to Alex G's housewarming party. But I was on an edible. I was on an edible, so I couldn't go up and talk to him.
Mira was explaining this to me like the other night. Like, why didn't you go up, dude? Like, why didn't you go and get it? Like, you could have gotten him. I would have taken him. And then we would have had him. And then we would have been like, Alex G's housewarming party. And then she was like, I was on an edible. And Cap was trying to invite me to Christmas.
It's true. But
then I was like, you were in handcuffs. That's handcuffs.
But I opened up my notes app because I was like really drunk and like starting to get high. And I was like, I'm going to forget this in the morning. So then I like wrote down really quickly, like while it was happening, I was like, Lorraine, Alex G housewarming party. So I would remember to tell you in the morning.
I literally can't believe you missed this opportunity. I tried to ask the guy what day of the week it was. He saw Phoebe.
You should
And
go
then
to
he looked
Tattooed
at me
Moms
like I
every
was
day.
crazy. And then I was like, "Do you know who the friend was? I'm just curious."
So picture this. Alex G, Phoebe Bridgers, and Chappell Roan walk into a bar.
I think that we should talk about because okay, what we're talking about now relates. Well, welcome back to the Internet is Dead podcast.
Oh, hey.
I think that it's about time that we start talking about Clairo.
Oh my God. Okay,
I think
see,
it's about
I
time.
feel like I can't talk about Clairo because I never got into Clairo.
No, but I need to tell my story.
But oh.
Because it's so relevant right now because
True. Because she's
Chappell
back.
Roan.
Wait, why Chappell Roan?
Because have you not seen the stuff about her like saying stuff online about like fans coming up to her?
No.
Okay, oh my God, let me explain this. Ugh, this episode's gonna fucking suck.
It's like I'm not on Chappell Roan Twitter.
Okay, no, because a lot like there's been essays about this. Like people really milk shit these days.
I have been seeing like tweets from Eliza about her Substack, but yeah, people do milk things like crazy. Like everyone needs to move the fuck on. I'm sorry.
No, it's actually like scary because something happens and everyone's like, I'm gonna write an essay about it. But okay, let me explain. So basically, Chappell made this video where she was like, I don't care that this is a part of the job, like people coming up and harassing me or taking photos, asking for a photo. That's not normal. Is that normal? It's not normal. That's what she said basically. And then everyone was like, "You're right. This is what we do to women in this industry." I don't actually know what happened to her. Maybe something bad happened. The thing
No,
is, everyone's hopping on the bandwagon of like, yeah, it is weird that we try ask celebrities for pictures.
it's
And I'm just like,
not.
no, it's not.
It's literally that's the definition of a celebrity. Also, I'm sorry, but that's not something that just happens to women.
Well, okay, no. I am. Well, they were basically like it was bringing up this whole thing of like, okay, well, this is kind of what we did to Britney Spears. This is kind of what we did to like,
Oh,
and
but
like,
that's
yes,
different.
I think it is different. Well,
That's not
Chappell
like
Rowan's success also happened so fast, and also I was gonna text you about this, but being at 12 Steps last night, it's a karaoke bar in Philadelphia for anyone who doesn't know. Every other song, like literally I was counting and there were like 6 songs in the span of an hour that were like
yeah.
Chappell Rowan songs, which is just crazy that she did something like that. It's like
That
because I
her
don't think we've
album
had a
came out like a
celebrity.
year ago.
Yeah, I just don't think we've had a celebrity like blow up so quickly in like a little bit. Like I don't know, she's like on Clairo level, which is like crazy because Clairo's been around forever and like everyone who's that famous has been around for a long time. And I know
Yeah.
that like Chappell's not like totally like new or anything, but it is just crazy how like insane like her blow up was. Cause hold on, I can there's like numbers behind this, which
Yeah.
are really interesting. Because Eliza McLam wrote an essay about this, and it was actually interesting because she was just talking about how she's micro famous, and she was talking about her experience as being micro famous in comparison to like what Chappell deals with. I applied for the job, okay, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. Obviously, I applied for the job. Like, what do you want from me? The Binge-copia podcast assistant position that she posted on Twitter.
So what did she say?
She was like, "This is the kind of famous I am." I have it open right now. "This is the kind of famous I am. I'm across the street famous. If I'm somewhere where people who like my work are present, I have the potential to be mobbed like a pop star. And if I cross the street, nobody will recognize me. I'm recognized about twice a week in Brooklyn. The way I actually physically live my life is not at all impeded by being sort of famous. People are generally kind to me." And then she goes on to be like, "But it still changed the way I think about everything. And it wasn't something I was prepared for. And I've had nervous breakdowns about it. And like, I don't know, just like talking about being perceived as like, and it is actually a good essay and it's really interesting. I was just saying it like that because it's like weird to just like read it, I
Yeah.
think. It's
No,
like
I do want to read
a
it.
funny
I like have it
topic.
open.
And like I wasn't trying to make fun of her, okay. I think she's smart. But she like put this chart about Chappell Rowan's success. And like in September of 2023, she had 1 million Spotify listeners. And now she has 40 million.
Crazy.
And this happened in the span of like, she had 1 million until like March of this year. Like March of this year, she like just boomed and then she had 40 million, which I think is like crazy.
Yeah. No, that's insane.
Cause it's like who has that happened to recently? I don't think anyone's like,
Like,
I feel
no
like Emma
one.
Chamberlain is like the like person who that like kind of happened to. You know what I
But
mean?
she was way more gradual even.
Yeah, that's
Like, I
also
don't
true.
think anything like this has happened honestly since like someone like Justin Bieber
That is really interesting to compare to.
or
Because
like
also, I was thinking about how Justin Bieber was like an entirely new thing for people, like when he was like famous, because that was like the first time like this person got like extremely famous off the internet and
yeah.
everyone knew who he was.
Like I was gonna say him or like I don't even know who else, but like yeah, I feel like that's like the best example because he just like immediately rose to fame. But it is interesting though because with Chappell Roan, like she I feel like has gotten, and I don't know, it could just be because of the sphere that we're in, but I feel like she's just gotten a lot of support since like becoming famous, which like obviously is like well warranted and like she's awesome and everything. But it's interesting because I feel like normally if a celebrity becomes that famous that fast, they're normally met with a lot more
Like
like
hate.
hatred.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like with her, like most of the discourse surrounding her has been positive, which is really interesting and cool to see.
The thing is though, I think it's like interesting because you know when we were in like the like that weird bar, we like went to this like freakish bar for
Oh
like our
yeah.
friend's birthday and it was like a very like bratty kind of energy and it just was not somewhere we would normally go because I feel like a lot of the bars we go to are pretty like it's like where the queer people
Yeah.
kind of like congregate, you know? But okay, so we were in this bar and these guys were talking to us and we were kind of like poking at them and like making fun of them. And like the one guy asked us like if we were all teachers and then that, you know,
Yeah. It was like, come on.
like what are you going to say to that? Obviously, I'm going to like start being a bitch. And then I was like asking him what the worst thing he's done to a woman was.
Ugh.
And then he went and got his friend and he was like, my friend's done really bad stuff to women. Like, here is my friend. The guy who came up to us was like, "You guys want to go to a Chappell Roan concert together?" And it was just like, how do they like and it's weird because it's like, oh, the guys know about this. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows about her. And it's not just a thing where it's this tight-knit community, which I think is what she had more so before, but now everyone knows about her. And that's just a really interesting concept of a community getting infiltrated in that way.
And also then becoming something that people are able to weaponize in this weird way.
Like especially when you see like straight men like using like the word slay and knowing what it means like
Yeah.
and that's like a stupid example but I feel like when that happens it's just like very interesting because it's like nothing like is ever like sacred, like everything like comes and flows and that's why I feel like people go on to new things because like it's almost like a signal. Like I feel like people just like signal to each other who they are and then when like something gets infiltrated they move to like something else.
Yeah. I do think it's kind of cool though, like in its way, if you like change the way you look at it, because it's like this is like a queer person who like if we were in a different time, like she would be like really hated on and like straight men would hate her and stuff. And it would only be something that a select few people could like in secret. But the fact that she is who she is and she's very vocal and open about who she is and she's gotten this level of success and people love her and people support her and like it's not even really like a topic of conversation. It's just like, oh yeah, this is just like this successful female artist. Like I think that that's a really cool thing because that just wouldn't have happened even like 20 years ago. I don't think that that would have been a thing. Like even thinking about Justin Bieber like getting famous and how he got so much hate, people were like, "Oh, he's like gay,
He's
like
gay, yeah.
whatever." Like that was the biggest thing, like insult directed to him, or like even One Direction or whatever.
Because they were all
And
like feminine looking or presenting or whatever. And like I remember
yeah,
men hating on them
they
so
weren't even that
much.
feminine presenting. I
No,
think it was
it's
literally just jealousy of like, oh, girls like these guys, like we're gonna tear down the one thing that girls like.
Mhm.
But Yeah, but I think it's kind of cool that like we've come to a point now where it's like, oh, that just doesn't really happen in the same way. And obviously it's like a small step, but I think that that like says a lot about like, and we've talked about this before, but it's just like what's become socially acceptable for people to hate on almost. And it's like, even if you don't like something, it's like, it's not socially acceptable for you to be public about you disliking it. And obviously,
Mm.
this is a very like privileged take in certain, like in big cities and large communities, because in small towns, like it's not like this. Um, but it's like you'll almost be like outcasted if like if you're like a guy and you're like, oh yeah, Chapel Roan, like I like hate
Yeah.
she's like did whatever, like did it out, like you're gonna be like outcast for that almost.
Dude, that is actually such a good point and so interesting because even if you think about like Ariana Grande and how big she got, like in like even though it wasn't in like such like like
Yeah.
as we said, I feel like this hasn't really happened since like Justin Bieber or something like that. But I mean, Ariana Grande's growth was really interesting because she was just like a woman and people found so much to hate about her.
Hmm.
Like even before anything like more like problematic came out about her, like
Yeah.
people hated that woman. And
Yeah.
that is crazy that it doesn't feel like that's happening, or at least that it's not reaching me and where I am online. Like in an
Yeah.
online sense and in like a physical sense, I feel like I don't see Chapel Roan hate like that.
Well, with like any like female celebrity, like Ariana Grande is a really good example, or like
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, but like literally like any of them, like when they were first like getting big and stuff, like I just felt like they definitely like went through a lot of like hoops of hate almost. And
Hmm.
like now it's kind of at a point where people are like, oh, like that was kind of dumb of us to like hate on them for like just like existing and being people. But the fact that like now, and especially like obviously the summer of like the pop's been like saved and stuff, and how everyone's like, oh, like these girls are like saving pop, like da da da. But I like honestly haven't really even seen that much like hate for like Sabrina Carpenter, for example. Besides, like obviously, like there are people who don't like her music, which is fine.
Mm.
But like I'm talking like personal like hate and like
Like trying
personal
to break them
attacks.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, which like happened with like Ariana Grande, it happened with Taylor Swift, like Miley Cyrus, like
Hmm.
whoever, Demi Lovato. And it's like now with like Sabrina Carpenter or like Chapel Roan, Charlie XCX, like Olivia Rodrigo, like all of these people that are now kind of like the forefront of pop music, like there's really not like hate to them personally. And even the hate about their music, it's also coming from this weird place because it's like I feel like everyone's just like on this wave of like, oh, pop music is back and it's awesome. And we're not going to like vilify pop music like the way that we have in the past. And we're not going to like hate on girls for liking pop music. And that's kind of become this whole thing also. And that's really interesting.
Well, people are so excited to be excited, it feels
Yeah.
like. And
Yeah.
that's a really cool thing. And I also think from that perspective of having watched the internet almost overturn in these layers, it's weird because we're growing up with the internet. Like we're growing up with it and then people are filtering in and that was not what was happening when we
Yeah.
were young. It started there. And so watching it start when we were young and then come up more and like people filter in and like start changing the way that the internet works is so fascinating. Like that
Yeah.
is so interesting. Like just seeing how I don't know, it's really awesome that like what with what you were saying about like Sabrina Carpenter not like even really facing these kinds of like public like put downs or whatever because
She like did like with like the whole Olivia and like Joshua like situation and whatever, but that was like a whole other like thing. Like,
but
yeah.
also it's still just like it doesn't and maybe it's because we're less online so it feels less intense and we're just like older and can see it
But it's cool that like she like now is like experiencing really, really like she's experiencing so much fame and Olivia's also experiencing so much fame. And that's really cool that they're both just existing in the same sphere of pop music and they're both like doing really well in it.
there was more of this agreement of like pitting women against each other
Mhm.
in like 2014 Twitter
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel as much like that
Yeah.
anymore. It does feel like people exist on their own spheres, and it just feels like I don't know. It's weird though because there is so much noise online now because it's literally everyone, and it's
Yeah.
not just like this like niche thing that like some people are on and some people aren't. It's like it's just everyone, and I think that also is like this is like a side note, but I was thinking a lot about how like weird that is, like coming from the perspective of me, like I was online in fourth grade on Twitter.
Hmm.
And I remember talking about Twitter and then people just like not knowing what that was and not
Yeah.
knowing about like what you could do online. So it's crazy too, just like everyone collectively joining in and like having just like the knowledge of what this thing is. And I think that like shifted my brain in a crazy way. Made it this like like niche thing to me when it's
Yeah.
like, and I still almost think of it that way sometimes, even though it's like completely not like that anymore.
No, that is interesting. I like don't really think about that much about how it used to be like a niche thing and now it's not. Like I do, but not in the way that you think about it, I think. It's interesting though. I did want to say like though with like the thing about like pitting women against each other, I definitely don't think it exists like in the same way it did back in like 2014. And if it does, it's like it's almost like it exists for a little while and then people kind of realize like, oh, like we shouldn't have done that. And then they're like they step back. And I also think that celebrities address it now in a way that they didn't really before, or maybe they did before, but it just like is a lot. I don't know. It feels different now. Like even like with Sabrina and Olivia, like Sabrina writing a song about like everything that happened with her and Olivia, and then with like Charlie and Lord like doing a remix together and like making that like be a thing. And then even with like Sympathy as a Knife and people being like, oh, that's like it just feels like it's more like addressed now. So it's like not this like secret thing that fans have. It's like, oh, this is like public knowledge. And so because
Mhm.
it's not taboo, it's not like as cool to like talk about it and as cool to speculate about it and stuff. And so people don't in the same way. And I think that that's been a really powerful thing also.
It's cool because I feel like it's more normalized now because just these topics are more normalized,
Yeah.
especially because of the internet and just in general with like society kind of shifting in what we're like aware of and what we're not aware of, especially in feminism.
I mean, even like with the Taste music video of like Sabrina and like Jenna like fighting over the same guy and then killing him and then like becoming best friends at like his funeral. Like that's like so I just feel like that's like such
It's very
like
timely.
it's timely and it's just like aware and it's just like I don't know. It was like it's really cool.
It is really cool. I do think like back in like 2014, 2016, when Stan Twitter was like Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, like all those people, like Selena Gomez, like I do remember when there would be like hate trains on women. Like
Yeah.
some of them would like I remember Ariana Grande like so many times like tweeting and being like, don't hate on this person, like we're supporting all women. But
Yeah.
that was like her like trying to like teach us,
Yeah.
honestly, which is weird because that like she was in this position at that time of like that was being taught to everyone online. And
Yeah.
that's actually just crazy because like the internet has served as just like this educational device of like going through like an experience though. Like the internet as an experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's also so weird that like now enough time has passed that we can reflect on the things that we've done in the past that have been like pitting women against each other and even the things that celebrities have done that pit women against each other and they can look back. Like I saw on YouTube there was this video and I didn't watch like the whole thing, but it was like I saw a snippet of it and it was like Liz Gillies reacting to viral memes or whatever. And the first one that was like the intro was like Victoria Justice being like, I think we all sing, like that whole like
Mhm.
snippet and stuff. And her just like laughing about it and being like, it's an iconic moment, like, and or like whatever she like said about it. I forget what she said. But it's just like funny that like that happened and like now like we like are enough time has passed that like she can like look back on it and make a video like poking fun at like how they were all behaving in that video almost.
Is so interesting. And it's weird too, just like obviously we all know this, but like just the fact that all that is captured in a like way different way, like literally the first time everything has been captured in that way and we can go back and
Yeah.
look at old social media that was captured of a certain time period and it's literally like a timepiece. Like I actually wonder if that will like end up affecting like textbooks and stuff because those are cultural movements. And like if you're
Yeah.
looking at like the history of America, that sounds crazy, but if you're looking at like the history of like I don't know, where like anywhere that has social media, it's
Yeah.
like this thing was something important to all of us. And like I don't know. I just think that's interesting. And obviously that's more of like on a human like consciousness level and probably it's not like actual history, but some things are actual history because it's like Christina Grimmie was this online celebrity and then it
True.
translated into real life and someone killed her.
Yeah.
Like not like that is like historic. Like that's like a celebrity's assassination, but in a way that no one had ever seen.
It's also weird, like you saying that thing about how everything's captured just like reminded me of something. How when like everything came out with like Ashton Kutcher like being like a bad person or whatever, like him like supporting Danny Masterson um for like and like supporting him for being like a rapist and everything like that came out. Like old interview clips resurfaced of like Ashton Kutcher and I think it was Danny Masterson also talking in like either a Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon interview where they were saying how like when they first started that 70s show they would go out to parties and like whatever and like you could do like they were like basically saying how you could do whatever because there were no cameras or anything to capture it. Like so people would just do crazy things and it's like that like it made it so easy for people to get away with these heinous crimes and like these awful things because there was no way of capturing it and like that can't happen anymore because everyone has an iPhone and everyone's going to record every moment and that's also a really interesting thing.
That's so interesting. Also, like we were talking about this together what like recently, I think. Well, I think you were there, right? When Dom was talking about how his like uncle or someone, I don't know who it was, used to like work as
Oh
paparazzi.
yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about that and I was going to bring that up because I think that's really, really interesting of like they're like paparazzi isn't a thing anymore because of social media and paparazzi
No,
videos of
yeah.
celebrities used to be such a thing online.
Yeah.
And
Like TMZ used to
like
be
TMZ
such a
was,
thing.
and I know TMZ still exists and like they still
Yeah.
make videos, but it's like at this point we all like have these personal relationships with these celebrities and like via just them existing and
Yeah.
that is like it just inherent to the internet and it's not something that can really be like left behind by someone just like being a private person because I feel like anything ends up reaching people. And I think that's interesting because like even paparazzi, that was just like a little glimpse into people's lives. And I know we still
Yeah.
don't really fully know celebrities. It's like not like that, but it's like I don't know. I think it's just like in a different way, which is
No, paparazzi like culture is like a really interesting thing also because I remember like a lot of celebrities also fighting when paparazzi was like a really big thing back before I guess like before like social media became what it is today. Celebrities were like fighting for laws to protect their children from being like photographed and stuff by paparazzi. But now it's almost like everyone is paparazzi. Like
yeah.
every single person with an iPhone is paparazzi. And so it's like, how do you protect anyone from that? You know what I mean? Because I do agree that I don't think like children should ever have to be like subjected to that when it's like they didn't ask for that. You know what I mean? But
But
it's
it's
like,
like
how
we're
do you,
all automatically subjected to it.
yeah. And that's like a really,
Like just
that's
by
like a crazy
existing.
thing. Well, yeah, even like just like being filmed, like anyone can be filmed in like public and stuff. And obviously there's like laws and stuff, but it's like, yeah, anyone can like take out their phone at any time and just start recording.
See, that's what's really interesting too, because if you think about like old books that are written about like, you know, Big Brother, like
Yeah,
watching, it's like I know that it's like corny kind of to like relate to, but it is actually what our world turned into because
yeah,
we are all just being watched at all times by each other and anything can just get stuck in time forever. And that is crazy. What we were talking about earlier about like
hmm,
Chapel Roan, because then this kind of like ties into what she was talking about. Um, so she basically posted videos addressing her fans and their behavior, and I'm like reading this off of Eliza's article.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, there's
And
like a fly in my room and I'm like watching it, but
no, it's okay.
yeah, yeah, I'm back.
But basically, she was just like saying, like, if you see a random lady on the street, would you yell at her from a car, like harass her online, like dox her family? Like, no, you wouldn't. And then she's like, would you ask her for a photo, ask her for her time? And then it's like, well, is that the same? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think that it's interesting too because I okay, also, have you been seeing this stupid fucking meme online where everyone's like, oh my God, I feel like this is Clairo shade?
no,
Oh,
what?
okay. I guess it's just me then.
I'm just not on Clairo World.
I'm on Clairo Twitter for sure, bro.
No, I know.
She's on
dude.
my explore page and she's always looking beautiful.
Her boobs.
Her boobs are mine.
Ew.
Nobody is gonna like that one. I think it's interesting because this is kind of there's been iterations of this discourse over time, and I wanted to tell my story.
Oh, your
because
Clara story?
I have involvement. I
True.
have personal involvement.
Tell your story, honey.
Oh. Well, the whole discourse that happened with like Clairo, where she was talking about, and it kind of wasn't the same exact thing, but I know that a lot of celebrities have gone through this where like, remember like Melanie Martinez getting mad at fans for calling her mom and queen and being like, don't put me on a pedestal, blah, blah, blah. And like, there's kind of this like weird reaction of, well, like that makes sense. But then it's like, okay, but this is your career and this is what you signed up for. And fans are not really like, I don't know, by calling you queen or mom, they're not really doing anything harmful to you. Like, I think that that's just like fan culture and it makes sense at a concert or something. And I don't know. I completely get how just in general being a celebrity that is like just an insane thing to live.
Yeah.
Because Eliza was like describing it as like being at a 9 to 5, but then you never get off the clock, which I think is interesting. It is kind of like your job is your whole life, but also like if you're gonna be that rich, it's kind of
it's like I don't know. I feel like that's just like a kind of a I don't know. I think that with like the thing that Chappell said that there definitely I also think is a line between like doxing somebody's family and like asking them for a picture. You know what I mean? And like I do think that like I don't know. I also like understand like not wanting to like stop for a picture all the time and stuff, but like I don't know. I just feel like there's also so many celebrities out there that like do that and like are like I don't know. I also just think it's like a gratitude thing of like being grateful for your fans and stuff, and it's like you wouldn't be where you are without them, and like I don't know. And it's like I don't know. It's just from my and maybe this is just like from the perspective of someone who like grew up as a fan and stuff. So I think it's just like a different perspective than someone who grew up as a celebrity, but it's like if you have that like platform and you have these people that like love you so much and look up to you so much, it's like why would you not want to like give them like support or like thank them or like do like to take a picture with them or whatever. And I think that's also why celebrities that started out as like other fans of other celebrities, I feel like are always super grateful and super appreciative and are like always like stop to take a picture or whatever because it's like they know what that's like, you know?
Yeah, I think that I agree with you a lot on that. And I also like, yeah, there definitely is just like a line between fans like harassing. Because I also think like you can always just say no. And I think that's like, okay, like we like fans should respect that.
Yeah.
Like, and that like not like you're not always gonna be in a normal state to want to take photos of people or talk to people. And that's just like how it is. And like like that obviously needs to be accepted and there shouldn't be just like people harassing people.
Yeah.
But I do like agree with you because it's like I don't know if you could literally when you have a platform do anything in the world.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really insane place to be and you could be creating so much in the world. Like you could be changing so many lives. And like just by being, I think, an artist, you are doing that. And I think that's really special. So I don't know. I do think like there is like this level of like, yeah, I don't know, just like being appreciative of it. But I was also gonna say it's interesting how like the discourse has not stopped about it. It just comes up like over and over in different forms. And that yeah, so what I was gonna say about Clairo, I don't know if anybody remembers the whole Clairo spit on me thing kind of joke on TikTok because that kind of blew up TikTok for a little while, like in the early days. This was like my experience with her at a concert when I was like 16 or something. Where me and my friends were waiting outside her tour bus and then like she like ran away from us. Like we were just like waiting and we were gonna ask for a picture and she like looked at us and then like ran across the street with her friends and like laughed at us from afar. And it's like, how will you ever get over Clairo laughing at you? Like what?
You won't. You just
don't.
can't.
that's embedded. But basically my friend Megan, it was the person who posted this on TikTok and posted also about like she like had a meet and greet ticket, and when she asked Clairo, like I think like her picture didn't like take or something like that. I don't even know, or like it was blurry, and she asked Clairo for another picture and she like laughed at her and said no.
That's
And
crazy.
which I think is just like, yeah, it was insane because it's like, okay, like this person is paying to meet you. Like
Yeah.
don't be mean to them.
Because
Like
that's also not even like, oh, you're just like on the street living your life and someone comes up to you and asks you for a picture. That's at a meet and greet. Like that's like your literal job.
it's wild. But I remember like apologized in the TikTok comments and was like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like I just like mental health is low during tour. Like I don't know, just like talking about it. And I just thought it was like interesting because it was like crazy for me because I remember seeing it just like pop up out of like
Yeah.
nowhere when my friend posted it, and then like everyone knew about it, and it was
Yeah.
wild. And I also it was it was her, Joy Again, and Snail Mail. Like that's who was on the tour bus. Like that's crazy. And they were
Yeah.
like the mean kids. They were like a friend group of mean kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how that kind of like just spark. It's like things just come up which like spark a round of discourse about this, and then it dies out and then another thing comes up and it just is a cycle.
Dude, we are driving like ourselves insane on the internet. Like actually,
Yeah.
like cuz this is just like it is actually crazy because what is this doing to our brains? Because our parents did not have that. They did not have
Yeah.
people like there's rounds of discourse online that everyone
Yeah.
would get in on. Like that was
Yeah.
not a thing. And now it's like a thing you talk about with other people in real life. Like that's what I was talking about with the girl like who I met today like in the
Aw.
coffee shop. And that's like so weird that it just like influences your entire
Like
world.
everything. It is kind of fun though.
It is fun.
Like I love it. I love it every day. And I do think that I do think that I think that I'm like a firm believer that everything that's existing right now has existed in the past in another form. Like I think like obviously it wasn't to this severity or this intensity at all, but like if you think about like celebrity couples like breaking up or whatever and like your parents like being obsessed with like celebrity
Mhm.
gossip and like magazines and stuff like that. Like I
Or
think
like
that
TV.
yeah, like that's always existed, like soap operas, reality TV. So I do think that it's always existed. I think that it just isn't a completely it's just in a way more exaggerated way now.
No, it is just like very interesting though. I don't know. It's just like weird that we're all a part of this thing. And I
Yeah.
think about it all the time, and I think about it often of like just like because also when we used to talk about this before we talked about it so much, like
Yeah.
for like this podcast, when we would talk about it with other people, it felt like the most like unionizing thing
Yeah.
possible to talk about was like experiences online. And I think that's really interesting too.
But also, I feel like me and Cinderia talk about this a lot, my best friend from home, where we're like, they're distracting us.
Stop.
So there's that. So think about that. Because that is like, because if like we're all like coming together and talking about like Chapel Rowan not wanting fans to take pictures with her, it's like, what else could we be coming together and talking about that could be so impactful and make so much change?
Mhm.
And like, why aren't we doing that? It's because we're all just distracted by this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing because as much like I agree with you, but then it's like also that's life too. Like this like
Yeah.
all of this like culture is also life. Like
Yeah.
and I think even if when people are coming together to talk about things that don't matter as much, I think it's still doing something really good for the collective of like we're coming together. But obviously like it's just really hard to organize people
Yeah.
because it's like what matters to every like it's really easy to come together about something that isn't as like meaningful because it's not really like I don't know, everyone can agree on it really easily. And people
Yeah.
can't always agree on the things that like matter a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that people will eventually. I think like there's gonna be like this collective agreement about like compassion, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I just like think it like is something that we're working towards.
So I think that's it, guys.
Oh, well, I guess
I guess that's a wrap.
I've been so hungry this whole episode.
I
Can
have
you tell
ice
Josh? Can
cream.
Can you tell Josh?
Oh yeah. So, hey Josh, you know about Chapel Roan? You know about Charlie? You know about Sabrina?
I'm sick of this.
You should come on the podcast.